Some serious allegations coming out of the jiu-jitsu world as former Strikeforce fighter Andre Galvao, you can read the story here on Bloody Elbow, accused of sexual misconduct. Grapplers and gyms sever ties with Atos. This is a pretty big story right now in the jiu-jitsu community. And again, MMA fans will remember Galvao. He fought Tyron Woodley in Strikeforce. He's someone that had sort of a, kind of a brief stint in MMA, more known in the jiu-jitsu world. But let's go read the story a little bit here, and then I got some tweets to check out as well. It says, one of the most decorated BJJ champions of all time has long been one of the biggest figures in the entire sport as a competitor and coach. An 11-time world champion is currently facing serious allegations of sexual harassment and abuse of his students. So we'll go read the story here. There's a big problem that's coming from the hierarchical structure of our sport. There's people in positions of dominance. So they're just talking about as a whole what's going on in jiu-jitsu. MMA Mania sources previously noted how these statements were reacting to allegations about Atos and Galvao specifically, which has since been confirmed as more information became public. Lachin Giles also reacted soon after saying, I'm not sure if this has become worse or it's just become expected more, but there's a serious issue in the sport where people are power abusing their students. I'm not sure what the solution is, but something has to change. Lexa Hurst, a longtime juvenile competitor from Atos, released a statement detailing Galvao's repeated advances and alleged sexual misconduct. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Obviously, some disturbing stuff here. She says she's no longer associated with that gym. Within the past 6 months, I was made very uncomfortable on many occasions by Andre Galvao. He touched me inappropriately during training sessions. He repeatedly commented on my body and my appearance. Some other gross stuff here. You can read it there. And this is not like an isolated incident, and this is sort of more of this is more of her statement here. She talks about it here on Twitter. Someone else sort of screen grabbing the allegations and just as another allegation. And, they're right about this. This is something I haven't really talked about on the channel, but I do think it's important to talk about that there is a problem with a lot of, male instructors with female students. Obviously, they're in close contact in the jiu-jitsu world, and it's becoming more of a problem. Like if you just do a quick Google search of jiu-jitsu sexual assault, there's obviously a lot of stories on the Galvao thing, but we've got something here from 2017. We've got something here from about a year ago. There was that whole issue at I think it was Miami Sports Club with, this one here, Roberto Cyborg Abreu. With his fight team, there was sexual abuse allegations to the point of where they had to set up like a hotline for victims and all this stuff. So it's becoming a bigger issue in the community. I know Fight Society has touched on this as well with some other jiu-jitsu competitors, but I think it's important to highlight that this is stuff that is going on to the point of where there's a lot of parents now that don't want to sign up their kids for jiu-jitsu because there is so many, situations of this happening. Again, Galvao not convicted of anything. So I want to be clear of that from a legal standpoint, but certainly not good. And again, the reason this is a big deal is because Galvao's considered one of the biggest figures in the community as far as what he's done in MMA and jiu-jitsu. And this is why this is a bigger deal than say something else. I mean, they're all big deals, but it's just the fact that Galvao is someone that is sort of prominently known in there. So if we look at some of the, the responses here on here, it says, for example, this person here says, I had wanted to put my kids in BJJ, but I really considering now so many perverts that this guy was training her since she was a gray belt and he's perving on her now as an adult really freaks me out. Can we get a week? There's no BJJ allegations. It's been horrible. Again, a lot has happened even over the last couple months. This is Woodley fighting Galvao in Strikeforce. Again, people who have watched the sport for a long time. There's Galvao there. Galvao ended up getting knocked out, I think, by there we go. It was Woodley who fought Galvao. So again, if you're an old school MMA fan, you'll remember Galvao. Only had a couple fights in Strikeforce, but grappled Chael Sonnen, grappled Chris Weidman. Didn't have a lot of success in MMA, but obviously some tough allegations here. My daughter will never step foot in a BJJ gym. This is a huge shock. This is very local. I've been hearing about this stuff from a lot of women I've trained with. Lord have mercy. For us, a hobby called this out a decade ago. That's why he's against mixed gender rolling. That begs another question. Should female competitors be rolling with men? I mean, I think if you're a responsible person and there's, parameters set, then I think it's possible, but it begs the question. Is that something that should be, and again, this is something the Dagestanis get flack for, is they don't train with women. I mean, this is why, because there's some men, not all, obviously, there's some men though that abuse their power and take advantage of the power struggle. Again, you've got a younger, woman that's training there, and you've got a coach, and the coach holds a lot of power there. They hold the training sessions. They hold what you're being taught. They're also at an age too where you're not. This is why it's so inappropriate, because you have someone who's a lot younger, who's maybe not privy to abuse or power struggle and all that stuff. If you're an adult, obviously you see those signs, but just really disturbing stuff that this is happening. One championship, get rid of this better. And again, Galvao, 43 now, has mainly competed on the grappling circuit. Actually grappled Reiner de Ritter back in 2022. This was for one championship. But you look at some of the people he's competed against: Gunnar Nelson, Tyron Woodley, like I mentioned in MMA, Chris Weidman. So he's been on the scene for a while, and it's just, again, really disheartening to see this, especially with someone that has put BJJ on the map in terms of that world. He's one of the more popular guys there. So that's again very, very tough to kind of take away here. If we look a little bit further in this article, again, you're going to see this come out more on some of the bigger sites. But shout out to MMA Mania for covering this. So yeah, Hurst is 18 now, but this happened, I guess, when she was younger. Grew up training at Altos. It was Andre Galvao who promoted me to gray belt as a child. I'm beyond heartbroken. Like, imagine that. Like, you have someone that has mentored you over the years, and then they abuse that power and take advantage of you. Once looked up to him not only as my professor, but a hero and a father figure. To know that he would do this not only to me, but multiple other people. So that's the other thing too. This wasn't just an isolated incident. This allegedly was other people. I never wanted this. I have nothing to gain by making this public. And there'll be people attacking her, unfortunately, for speaking out. How many times do we hear people, blame the victim and all that, right? In cases like this. And again, there are women who do lie about this stuff, but when there's allegation after allegation after allegation, when there's smoke, there's fire. That's always kind of my motto. This is my truth, and I know for a fact I'm not the only victim to this. To the other girls, I hope this gives you courage to come out. As much as this hurts, I'm doing my part in making the sport a safer place. I refuse to carry shame that doesn't belong to me, since only protects abusers. I refuse to be silent to anyone. I filed a report with local law enforcement. That's another thing that people will do in situations like this. Why didn't you report it? Well, she did report it, right? So something to keep in mind. And again, the hope is with something like this coming out that more stories will come out, more enforcement in these gyms comes out where there's people keeping an eye on this stuff, or there's, a way for women to actually have a resource to talk about this stuff. Because I think, even you go back a couple of years ago, there weren't a lot of resources. Now there is, because more of this is coming out, unfortunately. And again, like you saw in the comments here, like, I don't follow jiu-jitsu like a ton. It's a huge community outside of MMA, but you see here, there's, like this comment says, it seems to be happening more and more. And I think part of it too is there's more of an opportunity for people to speak out. There's social media. There's ways that people can get the word out. Whereas you look at a couple of years ago, wasn't that option there as well. So we should mention Galvao released his first statement, accusations due to financial changes. So Galvao's denying it. He says, over the past few days, false rumors have circulated online alleging inappropriate conduct with female students. Those claims are untrue, and we're taking proper legal steps. So let's let the due process go out. But I think at the very least, this is a common pattern in jiu-jitsu, and it's something we should definitely be keeping an eye on. So he says recent administration and financial changes in Atos is why there's been some people leaving, and our mat space is surrounded by staff, students, and cameras. We've always worked to maintain respectful, transparent training environment. I'll not engage in social media disputes. We'll see how this ends up in the legal system. But again, not looking good here for Andre Galvao, the coach of Atos. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anyone here followed the jiu-jitsu community very closely? Again, I've kind of watched this from afar, but I do think this is becoming more common, or something that we're seeing more often. So hopefully more of this doesn't happen, and hopefully there's more people that can speak up, and we can just have gyms that, you don't have any of that stuff. So follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.